Welcome to DoctorPipi's class guides. This one is about the Priest of Mitra, in short, the POM. I want to talk about, um, well, the different specs and is, what I think is good to do, and anything I want to talk about, um, playstyle wise and feat spec wise. Priest of Mitra is my main class, which means it's the class I know best and I play the most, and um, yeah, which I absolutely love. Um, so let's start with the first. Um, no, you know what? Okay, well, let's start um, with the spec I want to show right now. So right now I'm want to show I call it my pure Ghost Heal DPS spec. Um, Reason I call it like that is because I focus on divinity in general, and I focus on healing spells combined with DPS and hate reduction, which means the focal points of this spec are um, Lance of Mitra, Holy Cleansing, Condemnation, combination with Avatar of Mitra, and Full-Feated Grace combined with Exemplar, Full-Feated, and Vengeance of the Gods, Full-Feated. Also, good to mention in this spec is I use Shroud of the Gods and Spirit of Vitality. So that's the spec. That means in this spec the most important casts will be Lance of Mitra, Holy Cleansing, what's it called? Vengeance of the Gods and Shroud of the Gods, and also Avatar of Mitra and the Condemnation. I would say are the most important ones. Apart from all these casts, we have the basic casts of uh, Smite, um, Rebuke, and Knockback, Repulse. Yeah, and of course don't forget your healing spells. Wave of Life, um, which is buffed up with feat spec, and of course Emanation. Although Emanation a little less important. I use the Radiance, of course, for the big heal, and the Stun and the Fear down here. Yeah. So how do I use my rotation? Well, I don't really have a rotation. In this spec, I just, this is a group spec mostly. You can also use it for solo, but Lance of Mitra is fully feated, and when it crits really bad because it's a high DPS spell. Um, Also, as you know, Lance of Mitra is a healing spell which does not only heal your group members, it also heals yourself. Um, so this is also a good enough, very secure leveling up feat. Specialization, because you got a lot of healing going on. Um, Also, don't forget to buff up the Light of Mitra, which will also increase stamina, energy, and mana regeneration. Um, yeah, so it's this spec I use. If you go for solo leveling, you could also go Vengeance, but I think this is a really safe and secure spec that you can use in solo and groups. And if you focus on on solo only, of course you don't need the minus 5% hate modifier. Yeah. So what's the knockback? You have so many. Use Avatar to stun everything. Use Vengeance of the Gods, Holy Cleansing. And you can kill everything. A lot of mobs. Um, this is for when you hit level 80 mostly. So that's this spec I wanted to show. Let's see if the cooldown is over. 2 seconds. That's good timing. So then let's see, which one do I also want to show? I want to show the um, well, I guess I want to show. I mean, these are my protection specs, which are um, very similar to my pure ghost heal DPS, except they are this spec is focused on protection fully feated and some other distribution of points. I use this spec for tier 5 districts and other protection fights where you need a little bit of extra protection. Then I have a healing armor spec, which is focused on armor in fights where you need more armor, or when you would like to do a little bit of tanking, maybe even. Um, but that is more advanced if you know. Well, it's not completely advanced, but if you start a fight with a lot of DPS, you could get aggro for a long time. Um, and I like to experiment with this. So I made a armor focused on Lance of Mitra healing full divinity with a lot of armor. Increases your survivability a lot. Okay, then I want to show. Well, I don't want to show this one. This is a very, um, very focused on massive DPS, massive burst DPS. Um, yeah, and this is made for Yakmar tier 5, and even without having melee pets in tier 5, I can with this spec I can do like in the top 3, 4, 5 damage. Um, so I'll leave this one. And then my fifth spec is my Wicked Heal Solo. It is, I call it Wicked Heal Solo because it's a very interesting solo spec and it's also a very interesting group spec. But I would advise players um, to be very careful using this spec because um, it it does not use Lance of Mitra instead, but it uses Cleansing Fire mostly, and it uses the Purification of Mitra and the auto self heal and damage revivification and the light within. This spec is this spec will will make you lose a lot of mana, and mana pool is well, I mean, you need mana to cast spells. Um, so in order to use this spec in a group, you need a lot of mana tap. Or when you go solo, um, you will notice that you need time to rest. So, for example, the tier 4 hood, it's quite nice. It already gives 45 magic mana tap rating. Um, because I have the Wraithfinder legendary rings, I get a buff called Emmanuel, which gives me, um, I mean, Silver Twilight, which gives me even more magical mana tap. So, um, as you can see, I have 7.2% magical mana tap, which is quite a lot because in this spec, um, you will do a lot of damage, and obviously, the more damage you do, the more mana you will get back. And especially the dots that are running the cleansing fire, the um, purifying light dot, um, they will go on the target and how do you say, they will keep on ticking. So in this spec, I usually start with well, I always start Wave of Life, and then I just go like this round. Rebuke, Cleansing Fire, Smite, Rebuke, Repulse, and he's dead. So it's a higher form of damage, and don't forget Condemnation. Um, yeah. What can I say? Um, but especially when you lack DPS and mana tap, this spec will become quite difficult to maintain. Um, because you're gonna lose mana. You're gonna lose a lot of mana. But yeah, you can try it out yourself, of course. And of course, you can see the auto self-heal, the auto emanation. And also, if his hit, when his hit goes really through, he gets the purifying light, which already does a lot of damage, as you can see. So it's incredible. Um, as a POM, you can just stand still, and lower level mobs have no chance of killing you and will kill themselves with the auto dot they put on themselves. Yeah, so that's it. And also in this spec you have the Holy Cleansing, which is, yeah, will give you massive amounts of DPS, especially combined with a Necromancer using melee pets. So yeah, my suggestion would be start your journey with my Pure Ghost Heal DPS spec, and if you have 2 feat specs on the other, go with the Wicked Heal Solo. If you have more specs, well, you can try out the other ones. Um, Especially if you go into raids where you will get high damage. Um, the protection spec is very nice because one way or another you will have to get protection. So you will have to get um, protection either of unholy or fire in most raids. And to increase them, you have different options, right? You can use the feet protection. You can use items to increase protection. So this one gives 60 protection, for example. Then you have, you know, rings that give 170 protection, 195 protection. And if you are not yet done with Raid Finder or the World Boss, there are also, well, let's see. If you go to Kitai, you can get the Brittle Blade ring, which gives a lot of armor, constitution, protection, and critical rating. It's a very, very good ring that you can farm yourself in a very short time. Of course, the tier 3 protection cloak, a lot of protection, armor, constitution, hit, critical damage. Yeah, there are so many things you can get in the game. You can get the Call of the Jiangshi, a lot of constitution and hit, crit, fatality. Um, yeah. So what I was talking about, in some raids you will need protection and a fair amount of protection because you will get damage that cannot be avoided. So you have different options. One is your feet, one is items, so armors or accessories, and the third option is your perks, where you can use chromatic warding. This gives a lot of protection, but um, you can only perk 2, so you will lose something else, right? So the alternate advancement perks you can see here. Um, Usually when you start, you skip the general um, protection perks, but as you can see, they all give 450 each. So once you get into higher rates, um, they become important. So yeah, that's the Priest of Mitra, my favorite class, my beautiful class. I hope this was informing. Have fun!